I wanted to make my Mirror's Edge review, my last Mirror's Edge video in a while, but something recently happened. A leaked developer build from early 2016 of Catalyst surfaced online recently. I won't get into how it leaked, but I managed to play it in full. Well, kind of, because I haven't really finished the side missions yet. And I wanna tell you my impressions about the entire thing. So this build is available only on PS4, and you can install it only on hacked console. But my friend Mirror's Edge fan actually let me play it by setting up a remote play. It was kind of hard for me to play because I can't really play on controller, and playing like that on keyboard was very challenging, but I did it. I actually managed to finish the full game. It was so much fun, and it was literally my dream to try out the early version of this game. So let's talk about the differences from the final version. Booting up the game, you have no loading screen, just white screen with a text that goes something like wait or downloading. Then the interesting part, the sequence from Faith's dream is just a drawn concept art version of it. Then goes an unfinished version of Faith in prison. The first part of it at least, you can see that there is no post-processing and it feels like it was in-game, but it's still a pre-rendered video. The second part of it is finished, but not in the same way as in Final, because to me it feels like 2015. If that makes sense. Some cutscenes feel almost the same as Final, with few minor differences like maybe lighting color, but some cutscenes are very early. While there are a few early ones, in early stages, just in white box, with some early raw voiceover. It's very interesting to watch them though. Even unfinished, I always have wondered what this game looked like and what these cutscenes looked like before they reached the final stage. Like, it's always fascinating to me how the game's changed so much during its development. Because the game starts out from like this simple state, from this white box, and then it gets finished and it looks amazing, and it's like you look back at early footage and you're like, wow. Most of the level is the same as far as I can remember, although they have a bunch of different dialogues. Like when we get to warehouse, and Icarus says that he set up a bunch of obstacles for us there, so we could practice running. And Noah talks about how Icarus also enjoys practicing there. UI is pretty different. When you're not moving, you don't have anything on your screen, and when you start running, one big line on the bottom half of the screen starts filling up, meaning focus bar. After it's full, it becomes yellow. This was actually accidentally shown in one of the developer diaries. Enemy health bars are also absent from this version. Map kind of looks like from the beta, but a bit better. Well, and upgrade menu looks like a mess. One very big difference is the focus mechanic. So in the final, all it does is literally just give you a shield that protects you from enemies shooting you, and that's it. This might get a little complicated to explain, but I'm gonna try my best. So in final, to hit an enemy with traversal attack, you need to press a light attack on the go, and you will hit them. And you won't lose your momentum, right? Easy and simple, but in the leaked build, you actually need to fill up the full bar until it's yellow. And when it's full, you need to be on the go, obviously, and press the dash button while on the go, and then you'll be able to perform a traversal attack on the enemy. And it's, in my opinion, very confusing to me. Like, I barely ever landed this, and I'm not sure why they did it. Like, it sounds great on paper, right? Because it's basically, the purpose of it is basically Faith running like a bullet and just knocking down the enemies, right? But while great on paper, its execution was really poor, and I'm really glad that they reworked it, because in Final it's actually pretty cool. It once again shows how the simplest things used to be so complicated, and I'm very glad that they changed it. Just dashing is also kind of different, because when you dash you get more distance out of it, but you receive a small cooldown, so you can't spam it. But in Final they changed it so that you have no cooldown, but the distance is way shorter. Fights. The combat system seems different other than traversal attacks, but the way enemies fight are kind of different, you can say. In Final, to defeat the Guardian, you have to press 3 light attacks, and then that's it. And here is the same, except for protectors, it works the exact same as the Guardians. I think even they have the same animations, which is actually confusing. So like the Guardians appear only like once in the first mission, and then they're absent for the rest of the game in this version. And you have just protectors who basically fight like Guardians, but it's like a different skin rate. So like protectors can't even counterattack you. You just spam light attacks. Enforcers are the same, but shock protectors actually fight the way regular protectors would fight in the final game. So they will take one light attack and then counterattack you, and you would need to stun them to receive the ability to use the light attacks. So here that's how they work well in final. Can't even let a single light attack without stunning them beforehand. Sentinels seem the same to me, but I feel like maybe they have more health, or maybe it was just me, I'm not sure. And the takedowns happen a lot more often in the missions. And I've actually seen takedowns in free room. I'm not sure if they happen every time, but I've definitely landed some, and it actually kind of pissed me off because they didn't add that to the final version, which they should have. But you can get a mod for that if you want to restore that feature. If you talk about the missions, the first half of the game is quite different. Not entirely, but you can see the changes. I'd say two biggest differences is one, be like water. This mission was essentially a tutorial for traversal attacks instead of being like a delivery mission. So here you need to defeat all the enemies on the go with traversal attacks, and that different mechanic actually really confused me, and I couldn't complete it for like an hour until my friend stepped in and took control and actually finished it for me, because I have no idea why they would do that. And you can't skip the enemies, you have to defeat all of them, because if you just run through, the game just soft locks you and you can't complete unless you die and do it all over again. The second difference is Mischief Maker. So when Faith wakes up, Nomad actually comes to Zephyr, to the fan that leads into Triumvirate Drive. He tells you about the disruptor and shows you how to shut down the fans, and tells you obviously about the security hubs, and I loved it because it makes so much sense since Faith and him are like best friends, right? But in the final game we don't really see him that often. Like we see him in the beginning of the game and that's it. But here it makes sense, you know, like him coming to Faith's place and like talking with her. Like, I don't understand why they would remove that. That was such a cool cutscene, and we already have such a lackluster of Nomad content, and he's essentially just like a wasted character. The second part of the game is like 98% the same as the final, maybe with like very minor differences that I couldn't really notice that much. You can see that they spent a lot of time on perfecting the first half so they could hook more newer players and returning ones to make them interested in the game and actually play more, while the second part is already as good as it is and doesn't really need the perfection. Okay, I think I'm done now. I can't remember much more, but if you want me to ask something in the comments, you can always do it. I'll try to reply to you. Once again, thanks so much to Mirzaj Fan for giving me this opportunity to play this. I'm forever grateful, and I had like a blast playing it, and yeah. This is gonna be my last Mirzaj video in a while, and I'm preparing a new but much shorter retrospective video review of another game that is coming soon. So if you want to see it, subscribe, and goodbye for now and see you soon.